We don't need you. We never invite you for a reason, it just gets too crowded. Those were the words my mother spat at my 13-year-old daughter, Emma, before hanging up the phone on her. My own mother dismissing her granddaughter, her flesh and blood, as if she were an inconvenient stray cat. The betrayal, the shock still burns a hole in my heart. It all began innocently enough. December 10th, 3:47 p.m. I was folding laundry, my phone buzzing lazily on the dresser. Mom's name flashed across the screen. I expected the usual mundane update about her prized hydrangeas or another complaint about the weather. Instead, a text message simply read, "We are celebrating this Christmas without your family this year too." That single cruel word hit me harder than I expected. This wasn't an oversight. This wasn't a scheduling conflict. This was the third year in a row. 3 consecutive Christmases where my husband Derek, our 2 incredible kids Emma and Lucas, and I were deliberately uninvited, excluded, utterly erased from the family gathering. Like we were out-of-style seasonal decorations. I placed the phone down, Derek's work shirt smoothing under my hands, my mind a furious whirl. The rhythm of folding was comforting, even as my world spun. What was there to say? Please include us? That ship had sailed years ago, capsized by their judgment. I knew exactly why, even if no one would ever admit it aloud. I'd married Derek, a man they deemed beneath us. He was a mechanic. He worked with his hands, came home with grease under his fingernails, and made an honest living that apparently wasn't good enough for the prestigious Fitzgerald family standards. My sister Rachel had snagged Bradley, a man who worked in finance. They lived in a sprawling suburban mansion with a 3-car garage and a pool that probably cost more than our house. My brother Aaron married Jennifer, a pediatric surgeon whose Christmas cards looked like they belonged in a magazine. And then there was me, Natalie, the black sheep, the disappointment who dared to choose love over their rigid definition of status. I heard footsteps and quickly composed myself. Emma appeared in the doorway, phone clutched in her hand. At 13, she was becoming too observant, too aware of the toxic undercurrents adults desperately try to hide. "Mom," she started, her voice laced with an anxious curiosity. "Grandma texted you, didn't she?" My stomach dropped. "How did she know?" Emma's face flushed. "I saw it pop up on your phone earlier, when you were in the bathroom. The preview showed on your lock screen." I nodded slowly, feigning calm. "It's fine, honey. Just holiday planning stuff." But Emma didn't leave. She hovered, shifting her weight. Something was definitely wrong. I could read my daughter like a book I'd written myself. "Emma, what is it?" She bit her lip and suddenly her eyes brimmed with tears. I called her. My hands faltered, the shirt I was holding drifting to the bed. "You what?" "I called Grandma," she choked out. "I was upset about the text and I wanted to know why we never get to come to Christmas anymore. I wanted to hear her explain it." My heart started pounding, a furious drum against my ribs. This was exactly the confrontation I had fought so hard to avoid, trying to shield my kids from this ugliness. "What did she say?" Emma's voice cracked. "She said, we're not needed." She said, "Every year they don't invite us for a reason because it gets too crowded." Then she hung up on me, Mom. She hung up on me like I was some telemarketer. I crossed the room in 3 furious strides, pulling my daughter into my arms. She sobbed against my shoulder, her whole body shaking with a pain no child should ever feel. Over her head, I saw Lucas, 11 years old, standing in the hallway, his face etched with confusion and concern. "What's wrong with Emma?" he asked, his voice small. "Come here, buddy," I whispered, opening one arm and drawing him into our desperate embrace. "It's going to be okay," I murmured, even as a part of me wondered if it ever truly would be. That evening, after the kids were finally asleep, I sat on the couch with Derek. He'd come home to find me unusually quiet, and it didn't take long for the whole agonizing story to spill out. He listened without interruption, his jaw progressively tightening as I spoke. "Too crowded," he repeated when I finished, a bitter laugh escaping him. "There are 21 people in that family, Nat. Your parents' house is 4,500 square feet. It's not about space." "I know," I said, my voice raw. "And she said that to Emma. To a 13-year-old kid who just wanted to understand why her grandparents don't want her around." "I know." Derek ran his hand through his hair, a familiar gesture when he was battling to control his temper. "What do you want to do?" I didn't have an answer. Show up uninvited? Send an angry text? Both options felt equally pointless, equally powerless. My phone buzzed. An Instagram notification. Against my better judgment, I opened it. My father had posted a photo, timestamped just hours earlier. I clicked on it, and my breath caught in my throat. 21 people filled the frame, all in matching red and white plaid pajamas, standing before my parents' enormous, elaborately decorated Christmas tree. Presents were stacked like towers beneath it. Everyone was smiling, arms around each other, a picture of manufactured holiday perfection. The caption read, "Finally, a perfect Christmas with real family only. Can't wait for the big day. Real family only." I scrolled through the comments. Rachel had added, "Some people just don't fit into our celebrations. Quality over quantity always." My hand was shaking so violently I almost dropped the phone. Derek gently took it from me, his expression darkening as he read the screen. "They posted this today. The same day your mom sent that text and hung up on Emma." I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. "They're rubbing it in," he said, his voice quiet but seething. "They're making sure you see what you're missing." He was right. This wasn't just exclusion. This was cruelty broadcast for all to see. The next morning, Emma came downstairs for breakfast, her eyes still red-rimmed. Lucas followed, unusually subdued. The silence felt heavy as I made pancakes. "Mom," Emma's voice was small, "will we ever get to celebrate Christmas with them? With Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Rachel and Uncle Aaron?" Lucas looked up from his orange juice. "Yeah, do they not like us anymore?" I turned off the stove and sat down. Derek came in from the garage, joining us at the table. "We'll celebrate differently," I said, trying to infuse my voice with a confidence I didn't entirely feel. "We'll make our own traditions, our own perfect Christmas." "But why don't they want us?" Lucas pressed. "How do you explain to an 11-year-old that sometimes families are just cruel? That grandparents who should offer unconditional love can be petty and judgmental? That the people who should protect you can be the ones who hurt you most? Sometimes people have limited space in their lives," I said carefully. "And they choose who fills that space. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It means they're making choices based on things that have nothing to do with how wonderful you are." Emma wasn't buying it. She was too smart for platitudes. "Is it because Dad fixes cars instead of being a lawyer?" Derek's face went pale. I reached across the table, taking both kids' hands. "Listen to me. Your father is the hardest working, most honest, most loving man I know. He built this family with his own 2 hands. If people can't see his value, that's their loss, not ours." "But it doesn't feel like their loss," Emma whispered. "It feels like ours." She was right. Did feel like ours. And for the first time I felt a deep chilling anger. After the kids left for school, I sat at the kitchen table, a cold coffee beside my laptop. Derek had headed to the shop, leaving me alone with my thoughts. And those thoughts kept circling back to one thing, the money. I had been financially supporting my family for years. Not in obvious ways, not in ways anyone would notice or thank me for, but in steady, consistent ways that added up to something significant. When Aaron, my brother, lost his job 3 years ago, I covered his mortgage for 6 months. $12,000. Money Derek and I have been saving for Emma's college fund. Aaron promised to pay me back. He never did. When Rachel's son Tyler needed braces, I paid for them. $8,000 because Rachel was tight on cash. Despite the luxury SUV in her driveway and the annual vacation to Hawaii. My parents' property taxes? I'd been paying half of them for the last 4 years. They'd asked for help once when Dad's business had a slow year, and somehow it had become an expectation. $4,500 every year, paid quietly through an automatic transfer they'd probably forgotten about. Rachel's daughter, Madison's dance classes, competition fees, costumes. I'd sponsored those for 2 years, roughly $6,000 annually. Aaron's wife, Jennifer's medical school loans? I'd been helping make payments on those, $300 a month for 3 years, over $10,000 total. My mother's book club, her garden club membership, her spa days. She'd mentioned once that they helped her to maintain important social connections, and I'd started covering them. Small monthly charges that added up to about $2,000 a year. I opened my banking app, scrolling through automatic payments, scheduled transfers, recurring charges. The total made me feel physically sick. Over the past 5 years, I had given my family over $170,000. Derek and I weren't wealthy. We were comfortable because we worked hard and lived modestly. I had a good job as a project manager at a tech company, my salary solid, but that much money represented sacrifices. Delayed home repairs, cheaper vacations, putting off buying a new car, not replacing our aging furniture. And for what? To be told we weren't needed. To have my daughter hung up on. To be excluded from family celebrations because we made things too crowded. I opened a new document and started making a list. Every single automatic payment, every scheduled transfer, every recurring subscription or membership I was covering for them. Then I started clicking. Aaron's mortgage assistance? The small monthly amount I'd been sending since he'd supposedly gotten back on his feet, but somehow never stopped needing? Cancelled. Rachel's daughter's dance program fees? Cancelled. Property tax payment for my parents? Cancelled. Jennifer's medical school loan payments? Cancelled. Mom's club memberships and spa account? Cancelled. Tyler's orthodontist payment plan? Cancelled. Every single one. Click, click, click. Each cancellation felt like removing a monumental weight from my shoulders. By the way, if you're still with me on this wild ride, make sure to hit that subscribe button. More unbelievable stories and moments of truth are coming your way. ****, I sent one email to the property tax office, removing myself as an authorized payer. Another to the orthodontist's office, requesting they contact Rachel directly for future payments. A third to the dance academy, explaining that Madison's account would need to be transferred to her parents. The whole process took about 90 minutes. By the time I was finished, my hands were steady, and my resolve was absolute. I didn't send any messages to my family. I didn't announce what I'd done or explain my reasons. I simply stopped. If they wanted to cut me out of their celebrations, they could fund those celebrations themselves. That night, Derek found me in the kitchen making dinner. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "You're different," he observed. "Something shifted today." "I canceled everything," I said, the words feeling powerful and freeing. He tensed. "Everything. Every payment, every transfer, every dime I've been sending to my family for years. It's done." Derek turned me around to face him, searching my eyes. "You're sure?" "They posted a picture of their perfect family without us. They told our daughter she's not needed. They've made their choice, so I'm making mine." He studied my face for a long moment, then smiled a wide, genuine smile. "I love you. You know that, right? And I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For choosing us. For choosing your kids. For finally seeing that you don't owe them anything just because they're blood." I leaned into him, letting his support steady me. "I should have done it years ago. You did it now. That's what matters." The next morning, December 12th, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The family group chat, which I'd muted months ago, was exploding. I made coffee before I even looked at it. I needed caffeine for this. The first message was from Aaron's wife, Jennifer, timestamped at 6:47 a.m. "The payment for my student loans bounced." "What happened?" "Rachel, at 7:02 a.m. The dance academy called. They said Madison's account is past due and they removed the payment method on file. I need you to call them." "My mother," at 7:15 a.m. "Natalie, the county sent a notice about property taxes. Did you forget to make the payment?" Aaron, at 7:23 a.m. "Jennifer's freaking out about her loan payment. Can you check on that?" Rachel, 7:30 a.m. "Tyler's orthodontist called. They said we need to set up a new payment plan. What's going on?" My father, 7:41 a.m. "Your mother is upset about some tax issue. Please call us." Then the tone shifted. Rachel, 8:05 a.m. "Are you seriously ignoring us right now?" Aaron, 8:12 a.m. "This isn't funny, Nat. People are calling us about bills." My mother, 8:18 a.m. "I don't understand what's happening. Why are all these places contacting us?" Rachel, 8:34 a.m. "Did you cancel Madison's dance payments? What the hell?" Jennifer, 8:40 a.m. "My loan servicer said the authorized payment was removed. I need an explanation." Aaron, 8:55 a.m. "Answer your phone." I sipped my coffee, watching the messages continue to roll in. Derek came downstairs, looked over my shoulder at my phone, and whistled low. They figured it out fast. Money has a way of making people pay attention. My phone started ringing. "Rachel." I declined the call. It rang again immediately. "Aaron." Declined. "My mother." Declined. A text came from Rachel. "You can't just stop paying for things without warning. We have commitments." I finally typed a response. "I'm not needed, remember? Things were getting too crowded. I'm just making more room." I sent it to the group chat, then muted the conversation again. The calls continued throughout the day. I declined every single one. Derek fielded a few from his own phone. They'd somehow gotten his number. He told them all the same thing. "Natalie is unavailable. You'll need to handle your own finances." By midday, voicemails started piling up. I listened to them on speaker while I worked from home. My mother, her voice tight with confusion and anger. "Natalie, I don't understand what's happening. The county says we owe 6 months of back property taxes. I thought you'd been handling that. We could lose the house if this isn't paid. Please call me back." Rachel, cold and clipped. "I just talked to Madison's dance teacher. She said you sent an email with drawing support. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was?" Madison was in tears. "You need to fix this immediately." Aaron, attempting to sound reasonable. "Look, I know you're upset about Christmas. We can talk about that, but Jennifer's student loans are serious. If those payments stop, it affects her credit. Can we please discuss this like adults?" My father, sounding older than I remembered. "Natalie, your mother is very distressed. Whatever's going on, we need to talk about it. Family doesn't just abandon family." That last one almost broke me. Almost. But then I remembered Emma's tear-stained face, Lucas's confusion, Derek's quiet anger. The Instagram post with its caption about real family. Family doesn't just abandon family. The irony was almost funny. I didn't return any of the calls. That evening, Emma came home from school and found me in the living room with my laptop. She sat down next to me, tucking her legs under her. "Everyone's phones have been going crazy today," she said, a hint of curiosity in her voice. "I noticed. Are you okay?" I closed my laptop and turned to face her fully. I'm better than okay. I made some decisions today about where I invest my energy and resources, and I chose to invest them in us. In our family. In you and your brother and your dad. What kind of decisions? Adult financial stuff. But the short version is I've been helping Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Rachel and Uncle Aaron with money for a long time, and I decided to stop. Emma's eyes widened. Because of what Grandma said to me? Because of a lot of things that have been building for years. What she said to you was just the final piece. Sometimes you have to show people that actions have consequences. Is that why everyone's calling? Probably. Emma was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she said something that surprised me. Good. They were mean to you. They shouldn't get your help if they're going to be mean. The simple clarity of a 13-year-old's moral compass. I hugged her tight. Lucas wandered in with a sandwich. Are we still having Christmas? Absolutely, I said. We're going to have the best Christmas ever. Just the four of us. Can we get a really big tree? He asked. The biggest one we can fit through the door. And can we make cookies shaped like Dad's tools? Emma added. A genuine smile finally gracing her face for the first time in days. Derek appeared in the doorway, having caught the tail end of the conversation. Wrench-shaped cookies? I'm in. We spent the evening planning our Christmas. Not the one we weren't invited to, but the one we were creating. Emma wanted to drive around looking at Christmas lights. Lucas wanted to make a gingerbread garage for Derek's chocolate cars. Derek suggested we volunteer at the local shelter on Christmas morning. Then come home for a huge brunch. For the first time in 3 years, I felt excited about the holidays. My phone continued buzzing intermittently, but I ignored it. They could wait. December 13th brought a new development. My father showed up at my house. I opened the door to find him standing on my porch, looking uncomfortable in his expensive wool coat. He'd never visited before. In the 7 years Derek and I had owned this house, my father had found every excuse not to come by. Can I come in? He asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. He entered slowly, looking around our modest but comfortable home as if he were touring a museum. Nice place, he said, though his tone suggested he meant the opposite. What do you want, Dad? He got straight to the point. You need to resume the property tax payments. We've been counting on that money. We structured our retirement budget around it. You structured your budget around my charity. It's not charity when it's family helping family. Interesting definition, I retorted. Does that family help go both ways? Because I haven't seen much flowing in my direction. He frowned. We've been supportive. Have you? When? When you didn't come to Emma's 8th grade awards ceremony. When you skipped Lucas's baseball championship. When you've excluded us from Christmas 3 years running. That's different. How? He didn't have an answer for that. He shifted his weight, clearly uncomfortable. Your mother is very upset. The tax bill is substantial. We don't have that kind of liquid capital right now. Then sell the boat. Or the summertime share. Or downsize the house. That's unreasonable. What's unreasonable? I shot back. Is expecting me to subsidize your lifestyle while you treat my family like we're an embarrassment. Nobody said you're an embarrassment. Rachel posted on social media that some people don't fit into our celebrations. Mom told my daughter we're not needed. You posted about having Christmas with real family only. What would you call that? My father's face reddened. You're taking things out of context. Am I? Because it seems pretty clear to me. You want my money but you don't want my presence. That's not how this works anymore. You're being spiteful. I'm being selective. There's a difference. He stared at me for a long moment trying to figure out what approach might work. The guilt trip had failed. Maybe intimidation. Your mother could lose her house because of you. No, I stated calmly. Mom could lose her house because she didn't plan her finances properly. That's not my responsibility. I have my own family to worry about. We're your family too. Then act like it. He had no response. After a moment, he turned and walked out without another word. I watched him get into his Mercedes and drive away, feeling nothing but relief. Derek had heard everything from the kitchen. He came out as I closed the door. You okay? Surprisingly, yes. He tried to guilt me. He failed. Derek pulled me close. I'm so damn proud of you. The messages continued throughout the week. Rachel sent a long text about how I was ruining Madison's competitive dance career. Aaron sent an even longer one about how disappointed he was in my behavior and how family was supposed to support each other through thick and thin. Jennifer sent a clinical analysis of how my actions were affecting their financial planning. My mother sent voice notes that ranged from crying to angry to manipulative. In one, she talked about how much she'd sacrificed for me as a child. In another, she questioned whether I was having some kind of mental health crisis. In a third, she suggested that Derek was controlling me and turning me against my family. I deleted them all without fully listening. On December 18th, Rachel showed up. Unlike my father, she didn't knock. She rang the doorbell repeatedly until I answered, then pushed past me into the house. We need to talk. You need to leave. Not until you explain what the hell you're doing. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Madison had to quit dance team. Tyler's orthodontist put his treatment on hold. Mom and Dad might have to take out a loan. Those sound like your problems to solve. You can't just stop helping family. Watch me. Rachel's face was flushed with anger. You're doing this because of Christmas. Because you're jealous that we have a nice celebration and you're not invited. I'm doing this because I'm tired of being an ATM for people who treat me like I'm disposable. Nobody treats you like you're disposable. We just have limited space. Rachel, your house has 5 bedrooms. Mom and Dad's house could sleep 20 people. This isn't about space. This is about you not wanting us there because you're embarrassed by my husband's job. She opened her mouth to deny it, then closed it. Couldn't quite manage the lie. Derek is a good man, I said quietly, my voice steady. He's a better person than anyone in our family, including me. And my kids are smart, kind, and wonderful. If you can't see that because he works with his hands instead of pushing papers, that's your failing, not ours. It's not about his job. Then what is it about? She couldn't answer or wouldn't. I want you to leave now, I said, my voice firm. And don't come back unless you're ready to apologize to Derek and my kids. Not to me. To them. You're making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was taking this long to stop. She left in a fury, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Emma came downstairs a few minutes later. Was that Aunt Rachel? Yeah, she seemed mad. She is. Because you stopped giving her money? I looked at my perceptive daughter and decided honesty was better than deflection. Yes. Good. She was mean to you and she was mean about Dad. How do you know that? Emma shrugged. I hear things. I'm not deaf. I know they think Dad isn't good enough because he's a mechanic, but he's the best dad ever. He teaches me stuff and helps with homework and comes to all my games. Uncle Bradley barely talks to Madison except to tell her to be quiet. My heart broke a little. You shouldn't have to know these things. I'm 13, Mom. I'm not a baby. I know when people are fake. She was right. When had my daughter become so wise? December 20th brought another Instagram post from my father. This one showed my parents, Aaron, Rachel, and their families, all volunteering at a local food bank, wearing matching shirts that read, Fitzgerald Family Gives Back. The caption read, teaching the next generation the importance of generosity and thinking of others during the holidays. Real values matter. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Derek saw it and actually laughed. They're really trying to make themselves look like the victims here, aren't they? Apparently. Do they think people don't see through this? I don't think they care. It's about image, not truth. Emma came and looked at the post over my shoulder. They're donating cans of food. Looks like it. You give actual money to the shelter every month, like from your paycheck. I've seen the checks. She was right. I'd been making monthly donations to the local homeless shelter for years. Small amounts, $100 here and there, but consistent. Real help, not photo opportunities. Some people do good things quietly, I said. And some people do them loudly so everyone will see. Which is better? What do you think? She considered this. Probably the quiet way. Because then you know you're doing it for the right reasons. My smart girl. 3 days before Christmas, my mother called from my father's phone. I almost declined out of habit, but something made me answer. Natalie. Her voice was different. Smaller. Please, I need to talk to you. So talk. Not on the phone. Can I come over? Why? Please. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She arrived an hour later alone. No dad, no dramatic entourage. She looked tired, older somehow. The perfectly maintained exterior had cracks in it. I let her in but didn't offer coffee or comfort. We sat in the living room several feet apart. I've been thinking, she started, her voice barely a whisper, about what you said, about how we've treated you. I waited. Your father doesn't think we did anything wrong. Neither do Rachel or Aaron. They think you're overreacting. But you don't. She hesitated. I think we got caught up in appearances, in maintaining a certain image. And somewhere along the way we forgot what matters. Which is you. Emma. Lucas. Derek. She struggled with his name like it pained her to say it. We forgot that family isn't about matching Christmas pajamas or perfect photos. I felt something shift in my chest, a tiny tremor, but I didn't let it show. Go on. I'm sorry for the text. For what I said to Emma. For excluding you from Christmas. For. She trailed off. For all of it. Why now? Because the money stopped. Yes, she admitted it. And I had to respect the honesty. The money made me realize how much you've been doing for us. How much you've sacrificed. And we took it for granted. We took you for granted. You did. Can you forgive me? I looked at my mother, this woman who'd raised me, who I desperately wanted approval from my entire life. And I realized something profound. I didn't need her approval anymore. I had built something better than what she'd given me. I had Derek, Emma, and Lucas. I had a family that loved each other without conditions. I don't know, I answered truthfully. Maybe eventually, but not right now. Right now I need distance. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. And if you want any kind of relationship with me or my family going forward, things have to change. Real change, not just words. How? You need to apologize to Derek. Sincerely. You need to apologize to Emma for hanging up on her. You need to acknowledge that you've been wrong about my husband and my choices. I can do that. And you need to tell Rachel and Aaron and Dad that they're wrong too. Publicly. The same way you publicly excluded us. She paled. That's asking a lot. I've given a lot. Now I'm asking for something back. She sat with that for a long moment. I'll talk to them. Good. But even if you do all of that, I can't promise things will go back to how they were. Because how they were wasn't healthy. I've been setting myself on fire to keep everyone else warm, and I'm done with that. I understand. She left shortly after. I didn't know if she'd actually follow through. Part of me suspected she wouldn't, that her apology was motivated by financial concern rather than genuine remorse. But part of me, a small part, hoped she might surprise me. Christmas Eve arrived. Just the four of us like we had planned. We drove around looking at lights, drank hot chocolate, and watched our favorite holiday movies. No drama, no tension, no walking on eggshells. Christmas morning we volunteered at the shelter, serving breakfast to families who had nowhere else to go. Emma and Lucas worked side by side with Derek and me, and I saw them truly understanding what generosity meant. Not matching pajamas and Instagram posts, but showing up for people who needed help. We came home and made our elaborate brunch. Derek made his famous French toast. I made bacon and eggs. The kids mixed up pancake batter and decorated everything with far too much syrup and whipped cream. We opened presents in our pajamas, mismatched and comfortable. Nothing was expensive or elaborate. Derek gave me a necklace he'd made himself in his shop, with a tiny wrench charm. Emma gave me a scrapbook she'd been working on for months, filled with photos and memories from just our little family. Lucas gave me a drawing he'd made of our house, with all of us standing in front holding hands. I cried happy tears for the first time in weeks. Best Christmas ever? Derek asked, his eyes shining. Best Christmas ever. I agreed, my heart overflowing. My phone buzzed once. A text from my mother. Merry Christmas, Natalie. I love you. I'm working on making things right. I responded simply. Merry Christmas, Mom. Later that afternoon, I checked Instagram out of morbid curiosity. My father had posted a photo from their celebration. 21 people in matching pajamas just like before. But the caption was different this year. Merry Christmas from our family. Grateful for everyone in our lives near and far. It wasn't much. It wasn't an apology or an acknowledgement of what they'd done. But it was different from real family only. It was a start. Rachel had posted too. Her photo showed Madison opening presents. The caption read, Magic with my girl. Remembering what really matters this season. Again, not an apology, but the pointed comments about people not fitting in were gone. I didn't post anything. I didn't need to. My Christmas didn't require an audience. The days after Christmas were quiet. The family group chat remained mostly silent. A few bland hope you had a nice holiday messages appeared, but nothing substantial. No more angry demands or guilt trips about the money. No more phone calls. I suspected they figured out how to cover their bills without me. Or maybe they were still scrambling. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. On December 28th, something unexpected happened. I received an email from Jennifer, Aaron's wife. Unlike the previous angry messages, this one was different in tone. She wrote that she'd been thinking about everything that had transpired, and wanted me to know that she'd never fully understood how much I'd been contributing to their lives. She admitted that Aaron had downplayed my help, calling it just family stuff, whenever she'd asked about it. She said she felt guilty for accepting my assistance with her student loans while simultaneously going along with the exclusions from family events. The email wasn't quite an apology, but it was acknowledgement. She ended by saying she hoped we could talk sometime, maybe without the rest of the family involved. I saved the email but didn't respond immediately. I needed time to process whether this was genuine or another manipulation tactic. That same evening, Derek showed me something on his phone. Tyler, Rachel's son, had sent him a friend request on social media. Derek was confused, since Tyler had never shown any interest in connecting before. When Derek accepted, Tyler immediately sent a message. Hey Uncle Derek. I'm sorry about everything. I know my mom was wrong. You've always been cool to me at the few family things we did together. I hope you guys had a good Christmas. Derek looked at me with raised eyebrows. The kids are reaching out. They're old enough to see through the nonsense, I said. Tyler's what, 16 now? 17, old enough to form his own opinions. It struck me then that by standing up for myself, I might have shown the younger generation something important. That you don't have to accept mistreatment just because it comes from family. That boundaries matter. That self-respect isn't selfish. Emma had noticed the shift too. A few days later, she told me that Madison had texted her. Something that hadn't happened in over a year. Madison had asked how Emma's Christmas was and said she missed hanging out with her cousin. Emma had responded cautiously but kindly, and they'd been messaging back and forth ever since. Do you think things might get better? Emma asked me. With your cousins? Maybe, I replied. They're not responsible for their parents' choices, but we'll take it slow and see if it's real. The next morning, I finally responded to Jennifer's email. I kept it brief but honest, thanking her for reaching out and saying I appreciated her perspective. I suggested we could meet for coffee in January, just the two of us, and see where things stood. No promises, no expectations. On New Year's Eve, Derek and I stood on our back porch while the kids stayed up late watching movies inside. We could hear their laughter through the window. You did good, Derek said, wrapping his arm around my waist. We did good, all of us. Do you regret it? Cutting them off. I thought about it honestly. Did I regret it? The years of financial support, the emotional labor, the constant attempt to win approval I would never receive. No, I breathed. I regret not doing it sooner. What if they never really change? What if your mom doesn't follow through? Then we have this. And that's enough. He kissed my temple. More than enough. Inside, Emma and Lucas started a countdown to midnight, even though it was only 10 p.m. They shouted the numbers enthusiastically, getting them wrong but not caring. Derek and I went inside to join them, leaving the cold and the old hurts behind. As midnight actually approached 2 hours later, the four of us stood in the living room with sparkling cider and plastic champagne flutes. Emma held her glass up. To new traditions, she said. To new traditions, we echoed. We clinked glasses and drank, and outside fireworks started going off in the neighborhood. Lucas ran to the window to watch and Emma followed. Derek and I stood together, watching our kids, watching our life and feeling complete. My phone buzzed one more time. Another text from my mother. Can I take you to lunch next week? Just the two of us. I want to talk. I showed Derek. He squeezed my hand. Your call. I'll think about it. And I would. I think about whether there was a path forward, whether my mother was capable of real change, whether I even wanted to rebuild something from the ashes. But I'd think about it from a position of strength now, not desperation. I think about it knowing that I didn't need her approval to be happy because I'd already found happiness. It was in the man standing beside me who loved me unconditionally. It was in the two kids watching fireworks with wonder in their eyes. It was in the small and perfect house that we'd made into a home. I'd spent so many years trying to earn a place at their table, trying to prove I was good enough, successful enough, worthy enough. And all along I'd had my own table, my own family, my own worth. They could keep their matching pajamas and their perfect photos and their real family celebrations. I had something better. I had real love. And no amount of money could buy that. As the clock struck midnight and the new year began, I made one resolution. To never again confuse financial support with love, or family obligation with self-worth. I would give generously but only to those who valued the gift. I would love deeply but only those who loved me back. The fireworks continued outside, bright and brilliant against the dark sky. Emma and Lucas pressed their faces against the window, pointing and laughing. Derek wrapped his arms around me from behind, and I leaned into his warmth. This was my family. This was my celebration. This was my real life. And it was more than enough. It was everything. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with family? Even when it broke your heart a little? What did you do and how did it turn out? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below.